Hello everyone and welcome to the 11th ever Flutter Brigade Roundtable. I am your host, the Dark Lord, Lunashy89, and with me, as always, is Mond.
Yeah, Lunashy, really? Okay, yeah, hi guys.
And that sketchy bastard bitch down in Florida, Ed.
Hello everybody, good to be back for show number 11. Can you believe it? We're already in double digits. Oh my god.
I know, right? Like, ugh. Anyways, since there's not a new episode because, well, the season's over, thank God. But we're gonna do the breakdown of Double Rainboom for our episode this week because our main topic is going to be all about fan animations anyway, so we'll start off with that. So guys, let's go into that. What do you guys think about Double Rainboom?
I can go first on this one.
Double Rainboom was certainly an ambitious fan project. It was one of the biggest fan animations, fan episodes we've ever had in this community. Zachary Rich, or Flamingo Rich as he's known on YouTube, pretty much had this team gathered up, and I don't know, they spent probably at least a year, if not longer, animating and putting this up, setting all this up and gathering the VAs for it. And it's what's remarkable about it is that the quality of the animation is almost exactly like the show itself. And, it was interesting. I mean, it was longer than the standard episode length in the sense of what we normally get, 22 minutes. But I think it's something that you could probably fit into standard episode length if you, cut maybe some parts that kind of stressed on a little bit longer than they need to be. But overall, I mean, it starred obviously Rainbow Dash, and so basically I don't know where they got the idea from. I guess maybe from some fanfics or whatever, but the whole idea of the double Rainboom, like, obviously one of the things that a lot of people love about Rainbow Dash as a character is her ability to pull off the Sonic Rainbow, which is pretty cool. Like, ever since it happened in episode 16 of season 1, like, fans have drawn countless pictures, art of it, like fanfics have been made of it. It's something that's very noticeable in the fandom. Everybody knows about it and loves it. So I guess in a sense they wanted to take it a step farther with Double Rainboom and just what would happen if like Rainbow Dash could pull off not one but two, because the force of that is immense. What would it do and what would happen in that case? So after she gets that she takes that potion from Twilight and it augments her abilities, and she's just like really just built up and just like she's got twice the stamina that she had before. It's fun at first, but then when she loses control, pulls out the second, Sonic Rainboom and practically levels Ponyville. And she practically levels Ponyville, and it's crazy. Like, you see the destruction and everything, and then all of a sudden she goes and it ends up where she's like she creates like a warp through the dimensions and disappears, and there's no trace of her except like those rainbow flames in the forest. And Twilight's like, what the hell did she go? What happened? And then we find out that she just goes through this trans-dimensional vortex where you see all these cartoon characters from I think the first part you see is the hub, and then in the second one when she's coming back you see the characters from Cartoon Network, other cartoon shows, and somehow, I don't know how this works, she ends up in, of all places, Townsville, the hometown of the Powerpuff Girls. And obviously Zachary Rich must have been a huge fan of that show, because this is obviously fan service and tribute there to that show, and this crossover between MLP and Powerpuff Girls, even though it was limited because basically it was just Rainbow Dash there, and you had Blossom, Bubbles, and Buttercup. It's like, oh, look at the pony. Oh, she talks. Can we keep her? And she's like Rainbow Dash is like, I'm getting the hell out of this place, And just obviously you have that after the whole fight with that stereotypical giant monster, and they save the day. Rainbow Dash helps out a little bit. I love how she just easily gets away from the Powerpuff Girls. Like, it was, I mean, they can fly fast, but Rainbow, like, she was always kind of like one step ahead of them. But then at the end, like, she gets cornered. Thankfully, Pinkie Pie, with her reality warping abilities and breaking the fourth wall, comes out of nowhere and snags her back to Equestria. And overall, Rainbow Dash will probably think twice about taking another one of Twilight's potions without knowing what it does, because while it was fun, it certainly created a lot of havoc. Other than that, that was the gist of the main storyline. You had fun scenes, like, for the fandom. I mean, you had Lyra and Bon Bon together. There was Derpy, obviously, the CMC. I believe there was one part, and Forgive me if I don't have this exactly right because it's been a while since I last watched it, but I believe there's one part where somebody's mane got switched or something, and I don't remember if it was Rarity or somebody else, and it was funny. But there are scenes like that. They were humorous. They paid tribute to the fandom and a lot of memes and things that the fandom has done with a lot of background ponies and other things. So this was definitely you could definitely sense this was very much an episode made by a fan for the fans, and in that sense it worked. The animation was great. The story was overall pretty good. There were I thought there were some flaws here and there, but overall I think it worked. As far as the crossover element goes, I don't have a problem with it. I've been a fan of the Powerpuff Girls when it came out in Cartoon Network. I did watch it, although I was never really super crazy about it like our host Flutter is to this day. But it was one of the good shows that came out back in the day, and I can definitely see why he would want to pay tribute. Zachary Rich would want to pay tribute to that show, and it could work with MLP, especially putting Rainbow Dash in that scene, because if you think about it, Rainbow Dash, like the Powerpuff Girls, even though she doesn't technically have any superpowers, she's very athletic. She can fly really fast. She's got the sonic rainbow. So in a sense, she's kind of similar to that in a way, some of the abilities she has. So in that case, it worked that Rainbow was the central focus of the story, and she was put in that environment in Townsville with the Powerpuff Girls. So in that sense, it worked. Some people may not like the crossover element, because I know there's some fans in this show that are against crossovers completely, but I think it's fun to do crossovers once in a while. I mean, I'm especially a fan of crossover fanfics. Those are pretty fun. Like I read, there was one I read called Pony Gear Solid with Metal Gear Solid and ponies, and you would think that wouldn't work, but we have some really talented writers and they can make it work. So the same thing with animation. We've got talented animators and people who can write decent stories with something that you might think might not work so well, but it ends up working out pretty well. Now, how much you enjoy Double Rainboom depends on how much you were a fan of the Powerpuff Girls. I'm assuming everybody knows what that was. I don't think there's anybody who knows about MLP that didn't at least watch some of that show back in the day, the Powerpuff Girls. But some people may not like it because they're not a huge fan of it or just don't like crossovers. But it's one of those animations in the fandom that I think kind of divides the fandom. I think there was a lot more praise for Snowdrop unanimously than there was for Double Rainboom, from what I've read over the past year. But that was because that was more grounded and rooted in the canon universe of Equestria and the MLP itself. There was no crossover material there. But anytime you introduce crossover stuff with ponies, there's always going to be a division somewhere because some people are always not going to like it. But I think, Zachary Ridge put off a pretty good job. It's some of the best animation from a fan project we've ever seen, right along the leagues of not quite as good, but almost as good as, Jan Animations and his Picture Perfect Pony and Don't Mind a Night. That's better, but Zachary Rich's Double Rainboom comes close animation quality wise. So overall, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a fun little what if scenario that would never happen in the actual show because of, copyrights and licensing restrictions. It'll never happen. But it was a fun what if scenario that only the fandom could create if we really wanted to see it. And sure enough, it's a classic example of if there's enough demand in the fandom for a specific crossover or project, then it will be done and it can be made. And that's something that's great about our community is that there are people out there with the know-how and the abilities to make this stuff come to life, which is something that we should never take for granted because it's quite an awesome benefit to have being part of this community. So overall, I enjoyed it. I thought Double Rainboom was fun, even though it had its flaws here and there. There were some areas I thought the pacing was a little bit too slow. It could have been picked up a little bit more. And there were some areas, particularly in the Powerpuff Girls segment, I thought kind of stretched on a little bit too long. And you could tell that there was a lot of fanboying in some of the way that was done in that section there. It was stretched out a little bit too much, in my opinion. But overall, it was enjoyable. And I would give it, if I had to give it a rating, I'd give Double Rainboom, I'd say I'd give it like an 8 out of 10. Like, it wasn't perfect, obviously. Few things are, but it was really good. I wouldn't mind if Zachary Rich tried another MLP project in the future, but from what I know, he's been working on some non-pony related project. I forget what it's called, but there doesn't appear to be any signs that he's working on any other pony related projects anytime soon. But yeah, it was definitely something enjoyable, and it's something that I can definitely go back and watch again and again. And it's great, and it's a great addition to the countless fan animations we have in this community. So yeah, 8 out of 10. And if you haven't seen it yet, if you've been under a rock over the past year, if you can find it on YouTube, you probably can at some place. You got to go and check it out because it's definitely worth watching. So Yeah, Double Rainbow is definitely pretty good. So, Mon, you want to go next?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to say that although I liked it at first, after I watched it a few more times, like over the past year, I honestly, I get that Zachary Rich was trying to, trying to make a good project, trying to, make something that the fans would like. But at the same time, I mean, I don't know if I should be so harsh on it because it is, in fact, a fan episode and there was no pretense to it ever being equivalent to an actual episode. But at the same time, like, I think it's an example of why I don't think fans, like most fans, should ever like write an actual episode because, like, I know people are gonna hate me for saying that. Like, oh, you don't like people, you don't like creativity, blah blah blah. No, it's not that. It's not that I don't like creativity. But the fact of the matter is that yeah, go ahead and like you can go ahead and create these animations, like knock yourself out. But I don't know why anyone would necessarily, go and try to do that unless they knew that they were a vetted writer, like they've done other projects aside from it, and like that they have actual experience with like writing for a show or something else like that. Because to be honest, I thought after watching the episode a few more times, it just seems so discombobulated. Like, because like all it is like you're like you said, Ed, it's just a what if premise. That's all it is. Like, there's no real actual, like, I don't know, there's no foundation for the story. It's just like, oh, well, Twilight's just making this potion for no real apparent reason, and then Rainbow Dash takes it, and then, oh man, her powers are amplified, so now she can friggin', do she can do a double Rainboom, and then, go figure, she must have hit 88 miles an hour, because she, she did like a Back to the Future thing with the friggin' trail that's left in the forest. Like that not only is like half of the stuff that he did animation wise derivative, like even the story elements are just like a bunch of cliches pulled together. It just I don't know. After looking at it a few times, I'm like, good try. You get an A for effort, but I'm not like the episode by itself, like. The whole fact that, like, they, like, felt like they had to do a crossover, and then, like, they brought in Pinky's, like, they actually, made Pinky, like, a cross-dimensional whatever, traveler or whatever, and I'm like, yeah, this is definitely, like, fan service. This is all fan service, and, like... that's not a horrible thing. And if you think about it, it's not a horrible thing necessarily. But like, if you want to like be known as an actual writer, and like this was a senior project or something like that for Zachary Rich, it's like if you're gonna write for a show or animate for a show based on a story, like you don't just do like make all these weird obscure references that are just like out there and like that maybe the people who are judging your thing for your project, the professors or whatever, that they're not going to get. Like they might not get it, and they might just say like, yeah, this seemed really weird and like not all that well put together. And that's the sense I got. Like when I watched it as a fan, I'm like, oh my god, this is a gold mine of references. But then when I watched it as an impartial viewer, as someone who doesn't like, if I wiped all of the stuff that I knew about the show from my mind, I was like, yeah, this seems a little bit just out there, and like it's all sort of a bunch of different elements thrown together in just sort of this weird, maybe not nonsensical way, but sort of a haphazard way. So like, I'm not gonna give the episode itself too low of a score. I'm not going to give it like, 1 out of 10. It sucked ass. I never want to see it again. No, I'll say, For me, I think it was like a 5.5 out of 10. You know, he tried, but like it was really sort of misguided where they took it, if you ask me.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I can see where you're coming from, because Double Rainboom, like, it had so much hype behind it when it was first coming out, and everyone was excited for it. And I think, like, on first watching, everyone was like, "Ah, this is like really awesome," etc., etc., etc. But the more you watch it, you start to notice that the novelty of it fades. So overall, I mean, he definitely did a good job with like all the animation and stuff, and it's safe to say that the animation level is on par with season 1 ponies anyway. Not quite season 2 level, or way far from season 4, but all in all, like, he did a good job, and it's kind of holds up, but nah. I mean, the more you see it, the more it's just the novelty's gone. I mean, I think it was one of those things that you were only ever meant to watch it like 1, maybe 2 times, absolutely most, and then after that, it's just something that you forget about. But I'm definitely not going to give it a low score, simply just because of all the effort and everything that was put into it. And I definitely love the Powerpuff Girls crossover. That was actually my favorite part of the whole thing, was when they were crossed over with the Powerpuff Girls. I enjoyed that more than Twilight making the potion and the Double Rainboom itself, which was actually a triple Rainboom, because she did one to start it. So it was actually 3 Rainbooms, but for whatever reason, it's called Double Rainboom. And also, how the hell do fucking ponies breathe in space? But
I don't know.
No idea.
But who knows? But Rainbow Dash was breathing in space. I mean, overall, if I have to narrow it down to like my major 2 complaints, is that there was a lot of things that just dragged on for way longer than they should have. Like the whole Twilight making the potion thing, and like Rainbow Dash wanting to drink it. That whole scene was just dragged on way longer than it should have been. And my second major complaint about it is the voice acting really wasn't that good. I mean, I'll give whoever it was like an A for effort, but
oh god. Yeah, you know who it was.
Who?
Primarily, it was I think, I don't know who did Rainbow Dash, but I know that Rina-chan did Twilight, and Eileen Monty did a few characters in there, I think, but I think mainly Bubbles.
Well, Bubbles actually sounded like Bubbles. The Powerpuff Girls were more.
Oh, there you go.
The Powerpuff Girls were more closer to sounding like the Powerpuff Girls. The ponies, not even close.
Yep.
I mean, that's definitely one thing. I mean, like I said, I'm not gonna complain about like that so much. I'm just saying that's the major complaint for me. I mean, they could have tried to get somebody else, because there's so many talented voice actors within the community that have far closer voices than what was put in there. So, I mean, that's just my complaint. I mean, I'm sure there's probably others out there that will disagree with me and argue with me for eternity, but that's here and there. But if I have to narrow it down and give it a final rating, I'll give it a 6.5 out of 10. Just because
I rated the lowest. Damn it.
Well, I'm giving it a 6.5 out of 10, and it's mostly just animation wise that keeps it at that at that score. Because storyline, it wasn't a very good story. We all know that it was definitely a flawed story. But again, I'm not gonna tear it apart too much, simply because this is a fan work, and I don't want to offend the guy that made it or anything, but. It's definitely something that if you haven't seen it, you should check it out, but it's definitely not something that you want to continuously watch. It won't hold up the novelty after the first time you see it. It really won't. But anyways, moving on, we're going to talk about like Silly Philly Studios for a little bit. and well, they only have 2 major videos, but I guess we'll start with we'll start with the one that got me introduced with Silly Philly Studios, and that was Luna Gets Her Cutie Mark or whatever, which was a nice short animation, kind of cool, kind of cute, kind of sweet, you know, innocent. Voice acting in that was pretty good. Animation wise, it was definitely I don't know, on par with season 1 again. I mean, season 1 is pretty much going to be what I compare most fan works to, because that's the easiest thing to do for quality wise, because nobody's got to season 4 qualities yet. But then they also did an episode which was Snowdrop, which everyone seems to like that, and I'm one of the very few that thinks it's the most boring thing in the world, and I don't care for it at all. I mean, I'll give them points for the animation, and even then, the animation's, it's not, the animation of Snowdrop's definitely not as good as the animation of Double Rainboom, but even still, I will give Snowdrop a 5.5 for, just because it's the animation, like, they did whatever, but story-wise, to me, it was boring. I just couldn't get into it. And it was too short of an episode anyway. It wasn't even 15 minutes long, so it was pretty bad. What do you guys think about Silly Philly Studios?
Well, as far as Luna's Cutie Mark goes, I think, like, that video, I like that just because Luna, yeah. No, but, like, seriously, I think the voice acting for that sort of was really good, and it sort of established that, like, the fan voice of Celestia is MemJ, and because that was who did it. And then, like, Hannah Mae does Luna, I think. So, you know, that sort of established their role as, like, if people are doing fan projects with Celestia or Luna, and then they usually will use either, you know, MemJ or Hannah Mae, or both, if Luna and Celestia are in them. But either way, like, the animation quality for that, yeah, it definitely wasn't nearly as good as Double Rainboom or any of the other stuff that we've seen in the fandom. But at the same time, like, you have to understand that's, like, their first project, and it came out in, like, if not 2012, then, like, 2011. So it, like, you know, the fandom was just sort of starting to gain more momentum, so I'm not surprised that they didn't produce, like, something that Jan Animations could produce. But like, in terms of Snowdrop, I have to disagree. I thought, well, I mean, okay, let me put it this way. I thought that, yeah, the animation quality was, yeah, you know, not quite. It was close. I guess it might have been close to what Double Rainboom achieved. But at the same time, yeah, there were some noticeable flaws with it. But, like, the story, I honestly think that the story, at least in the way it was structured, was a little bit better than Double Rainboom, because it wasn't just a bunch of cliches. If you ask me, like, because, yeah, it might have been, like, all this, like, sob story about this, you know, blind Pegasus that, you know, can't really do anything, and she sort of has to find her way, you know, a way to make herself useful, and that, like, you know, she, you know, eventually creates that the star, or whatever, the Snowdrop itself, whatever. But, like, yeah, I mean, like, for concept, yeah, at least I don't know, it's not that I have anything against using established characters in fan animations. That's not what I'm against. I'm just saying that I think for what Silly Philly Studios did with, you know, creating mostly pretty much all, like, original characters and just, you know, trying to actually create a story around them, that takes a little bit, quite more effort than it does to just use a bunch of already established characters that are in the what do you call it, the show already, and just, you know, sort of do something else around them. So I definitely give Silly Philly Studios more props for that, because they actually did a decent job. I mean, yeah, the story was a little bit sappy and it was a little bit, whatever. But at the same time, I can't help the cuteness factor of it, like that it was like, she did eventually prove her worth and she got her cutie mark, and then she she was able to, and like even the princesses were like influenced by it at the end, that they were sort of somber about it when the last Snowflake was released. So I mean, yeah, it's a little sentimental and stuff, and I try to stay away from that kind of stuff, but at the same time, I think it was better executed than like Double Rainboom or some other fan animations that are some other original fan animation. So if I had to give it a score, though, I think I would give it I guess like an 8 out of 10, because I did definitely like it despite some of the flaws.
Yeah, I mean, I can see where you're coming from to a point, but again, like it's one of those things that you have to fall into it, and I couldn't get into it. I just couldn't. I thought the whole story was I seriously thought the whole story was boring. And the animation, like I said, like I give it points, but mostly for animation. And even then, it's only 5.5 because the animation was a little stiff. But again, they were new. It was their first major project. So again, like I'm not gonna tear it to shreds just because I know that there are a lot of people out there that absolutely love Snowdrop. So I'm not gonna tear it to shreds. I won't tear any fan works to shreds just because it's more than what I can do, and if they can do it and I can't, well then they must have some kind of talents out there. So Ed, your thoughts?
Well, Snowdrop, you're right. It's definitely got a better story and solid solid weight behind it compared to Double Rainboom. Snowdrop is definitely one of the more subtle stories. There's definitely not only just slice of life, it's very much a somber, solemn story. Like, obviously, you're supposed to feel bad for like the young Pegasus filly Snowdrop because she's blind and she doesn't know her place in the world. All their eyesight, is obviously a crucial thing for a Pegasus to have. Without it, how can you fly? If not very well, if at all. And in that sense, like, even regardless of what race the pony would be, whether they're Pegasus, Unicorn, or Earth Pony, being blind would be a terrible disadvantage to have. So in that sense, you get that sympathy for her. But the other thing about Snowdrop is that, yeah, it's in the middle of winter when most of the story takes place, and back then I don't know, they didn't give us an exact time frame, but it was back when Celestia and Luna were obviously much, much younger, as we could see visually. Celestia had kind of her pink mane, and Luna was very much like her season 1 appearance. Neither of them had the ethereal flowing manes yet, so we know they were very young. So I would guess, if I had to put an estimate, it might have been, let's say, 500 years or so before the events of MLP, when the Snowdrop story took place. If I had to give it a rough
that doesn't work, though.
Well,
that doesn't work because Luna was banished for 1,000 years. So
okay, you're right. Like I said, like I didn't give it too much thought, but hey, it's kind of hard to do because there's so much stuff in the equestrian history, and they never gave us a really good hint of when this happened. So okay, you're right. So yeah, okay, well, anytime before, it's obviously before 1,000 years ago. Let's say 1,500. Let's just put it that way, because okay. But in any case, obviously. And then the whole theme also was it takes place in the winter, and in spring you have the blooming of the flowers, and you have those great sights to behold for the ponies to enjoy. Summer, you've got you've got beautiful scenery, you've got the nice heat, you can go swimming, enjoy nature. Fall is the beauty of the falling of the leaves and all that. Winter was this drab kind of, there was this void. It was the time of the year where everybody had like the winter blues. It was kind of depressing. There was really nothing to look forward to in winter, and Snowdrop was she's struggling for her place in life. In a way, you can kind of tie a correlation between like her trying to find her purpose, what can she do, and the fact that they're in the season of winter which doesn't really seem to have much of a purpose or anything to really offer anyone. Like, it's just there. It happens. So in that sense, there's a correlation in that aspect. But I like how in the end, she didn't really know what she was going for. In the end, she can't see, but she could, as she put it, she could sense the snowdrops, the snowflakes coming from the clouds and everything, and she would enjoy it that way. Because you know how a lot of times they would say, well, blind people in real life, they don't have the eyesight, but their other senses are enhanced, like hearing and all that.
Well, I think the exact quote they gave in the actual thing is that she could hear the twinkle of the stars.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So that's what they were going for with that. So in the end, she came up with the idea. It's like, okay, well, like, let me see what I could do to make something out of these snowflakes. And she kind of just came up with this idea of making them all this like an artistic design out of that thing. And then when Celestia and Luna came to visit them up there, and she's like, well, the class is trying to offer them something for their visit, and like she comes to make her offer, everybody starts criticizing and laughing at her. It's like, oh, well, it's just Snowdrop. What can she do? She's blind. She's useless. The kids being harsh like kids are often will be. And she comes up, shows that snowflake to Celestia and Luna in particular is touched, because this is back when she's starting to feel that inner turmoil, the struggle of, like, she starts to feel useless in comparison to her older sister. Like, she wants to be appreciated too. So she can definitely sympathize with where Snowdrop's coming from. And even though it's a very simple gesture and a gift, there's beauty in that simpleness and that snowflake. There's a beautiful artistry to it. And then they come up with the idea, well, let's create more of these snowflakes. And each one of these snowflakes is going to look different. They're all individually designed. So there's something to look forward to when the snow falls in winter, rather than this drab season where there's no beauty in anything. They created beauty out of something that didn't have it before. So there's this really nice, simple story of trying to make the most out of a situation, trying to find the happiness in life where it might not obviously be apparent at first hand, and just making the best out of a situation or time. And I think the way that they pulled it off in the story was beautiful, it was subtle, but it was impactful at the same time. And I thought that it was a very nice touch that they did, the way that they rolled that story out. And it shows just like, it doesn't matter if you have a disability or whatever setback you may have. Everybody has a purpose. Everybody is worth something. There's no worthless individual. It's just some people have to struggle more than others to find what they can contribute to society or to other people. But no one is worthless. And even people who have disabilities can bring happiness or be beneficial to others. So that was the way that they illustrated that in Snowdrop. I thought was done very well, and I thought it was pretty clever how they added the whole snowflake angle in there and worked something like that, because it wasn't something that was immediately apparent where they were going with at the beginning of the story, but it became more obvious as they went along. So I thought, even though you could. It depends what you're looking for. I can see where someone like Flutters or somebody else or some folks will say this story's boring, but on the other hand, it was never really going for something really big or melodramatic. It was more of a very simple slice of life story with some somber, subtle undertones and this really kind of deep theme of finding meaning in your life and contributing something despite the fact that you have a disability or setback. And I thought they did it. It was a very nice, ambitious project there that they pulled off, and I thought they pulled it off very well overall. It's definitely got a stronger story than Double Rainboom, and the animation wasn't quite as good as Double Rainboom, but the story was definitely more impactful. And while it wasn't as flashy or as action-packed or in that sense as Double Rainboom, like at all, what it didn't have there is certainly made up for in the strength of the story and the whole theme of the situation that it was portraying. So overall, I would definitely have to give Snowdrop a higher rating, and I'd give it a 9 out of 10. There were flaws. Like, there were some issues, some of the animation that was kind of wonky at parts. And, again, there were some issues with the pacing that might have been improved a little bit. But those are overall nitpicks. There's nothing really detrimental to it that ruins the viewing experience, I feel, for anybody who watches it. So, yeah, Snowdrop, 9 out of 10. And, again, as with Double Rainboom, if for whatever reason you have been under a rock, you haven't seen Snowdrop, go and watch it. I think most likely you'll enjoy it. It's definitely a very nice, cute, somber but touching story that shows that really the versatility of MLP and the whole universe. Like, it is what you make of it. You can make it an action-oriented adventure, or you can make it a very nice slice of life story or whatever. It's all dependent on the creator's imagination and their talents as an animator or whatever other ability they may have. And it's really a testament to what this fandom can do. So yeah, I mean, it's interesting to have that dynamic between this big over the top flashy project like Double Rainboom and juxtaposed next to a very somber, much more subtle, kind of sad, bittersweet story of Snowdrop. It just goes to show that this fandom is very versatile, and we can come up with so many variety of stories involving ponies. So it's great to have. But I personally enjoyed it more than Double Rainboom. And while we're still on the subject of Silly Philly Studios, yeah, I did see Luna's Cutie Mark, and that was one of the first ones I saw too. That was a cute short. But neither of you guys, I guess you forgot to mention, but very soon, and I believe it's on May 24th, so at the end of this week, Silly Philly Studios will be finally premiering, after a year of waiting, finally premiering Fall of the Empire at a con in Orlando. I forget what it's called. And after that, I'm assuming it will be uploaded to YouTube. So I've been looking forward to that project in particular for a long time, ever since I saw the trailer. So that looks very promising. So definitely Silly Philly Studios is still going strong. And, you know, like, I hope they keep going for a while because they definitely release quality stuff.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'd like to see them keep going too. But the thing that Silly Philly and pretty much anyone who does fan animations right now that has going against them right now is Hasbro, because all of the damn C&Ds and stuff, and the most recent one with Jan Animations, and they tried to claim that they own the copyrights to the animation style themselves, which to my knowledge, animation style is not something you can copyright. So that in itself is going to discourage a lot of people from even attempting to do any kind of like fan works now, just because they're probably going to end up getting taken down, you know? So that's going to definitely put a damper into fan works, which kind of sucks because there's no need for it. I mean, whoever's in charge of the Hasbro legal team or whatever, they're definitely going way overkill on this fucking trying to protect their copyright shit, because for them to come up with the excuse, oh well, we own the animation style, it's copyrighted. Like, how the fuck you can't copyright the animation style. If anyone owns the copyright to the animation style, it's Adobe, because it's just Flash animation. So
yeah, but at the same time, I don't know if Hasbro's deliberately doing this, but if they are, I talked with someone before about this, and they kind of gave me an interesting argument that, like, it might be Hasbro just that, like, they don't want the actual target demographic to see some of the stuff that the older fans make, that it creates a slippery slope that if they start watching Double Rainboom or like stuff that Jan's made or stuff that, Silly Philly Studios has made, then they'll start going to Derby Boru, and then they'll start going to places that are unsafe for younger kids, and then they'll start losing younger fans. I mean, I kind of can see where that is coming from. I don't know if I completely agree with it, but I can see the logic at least.
Yeah, but that's the point of the parents' responsibility to control what their children are intaking.
But the thing you got to understand about that is that, like, they can't be, like, reliant on the parents to be super, whatever. They have to cover their ass no matter what.
I mean, I understand that legally, but there are other ways to protect it. There are things already in place to protect children from seeing things. That's why we have filters and things like that, like on sites like Derby Baru, and that's why you have the NSFW tag on Tumblr to keep that away from certain audiences.
But there's so many ways to get around that, and with how, like, good kids are with computers when they actually are starting to grow up, like, I'm not surprised that, like, half of them are able to get around it.
Yeah, and like it was mentioned in the chat, it falls to the responsibility of the viewer, because most fan works are for adults and have tags or warnings that it's not for children. So again, it all comes down to parental controls and stuff, and parents need to keep a better eye as to what their children are doing online. But even still, stuff that Silly Philly and Jan and even Double Rainboom, there's no offensiveness, there's no vulgarness, it's all just straightforward, simple, good fun that all ages can enjoy, and they still go after them.
I think the argument though was that like that this person that I was talking to made was that like yeah, that's true, but like it's it's like crowd control. You're trying to deter people.
Yeah.
And yeah, that sounds horrible and everything, but like I get the logic. I don't agree with the tactics,
like
but
I said,
can understand the logic.
I can understand it too, but again, it's a mixed bag. But seriously though, the point I'm trying to get across is with all this stuff going on, it's going to limit how many more fan animations we're going to see in the near future, because if people are getting discouraged to not do it in the first place, I mean, who knows how many projects have been scrapped or projects that might have been in the works that may never come to light now just because they're too afraid to go through with it because they don't want to get sued by Hasbro or have their work taken down. So,
and there's already been several casualties involving that, such as Fighting is Magic before the whole, I know I'm aware of the other versions that have been made, but the original one, and then of course what happened with just other things like that. Oh, another game, Welcome to Ponyville, that got scrapped too because of the whole thing. Like, look, I understand, and that's true, and legally they got to cover their asses about that. Yeah, I get that, but the whole argument as a whole, it goes. If you want to just take the whole thing in general, like even stretch it as far as the video game argument. Well, like you can't make these games because kids can it goes in the wrong hands and kids can play M-rated games. You know what? That's why you have this. That's why you have the ratings on the games. That is the parents' responsibility. I'm sick and tired of like, oh, well, don't make the product because it could get in the wrong hand. Instead of being lazy and incompetent, do your responsibility as a parent or whoever.
I know.
And keep your kids away from that. How many kids are going out playing Call of Duty at 7 years old or playing Assassin's Creed or whatever at 5 or 6, whatever, because their parents are too busy working or they don't pay attention to. That's not the fault of the developers of the game. And it's the same thing with this thing. And on top of that, like we've discussed this back in show 4 when we originally talked about the cease and desist against Jan Animations. Like I still hold to the theory that there's a miscommunication, there's a disjointed lack of communication between Hasbro and their legal department, like Flutters has mentioned before, and that the legal team is not following the exact code of conduct that Hasbro at its core wants them to do it, because they're not communicating. They're just saying, oh, well, this thing, it looks too much like the show. We got to kick it out. We got to delete the video. And not only that, we got to keep YouTube Content ID, because that's a major player in that as well. That's why Dr. Wolf's channel got shut down recently, but that was YouTube Content ID. That wasn't Hasbro. It was a third party, and it might have even been people who were spamming and trolling his account to take it down because they were anti-bronies. I have no idea, but it wasn't Hasbro. It was YouTube and their stupid Content ID and their whole broken system. But fortunately, he came back because of all the outcry and all that, so he was lucky. But there are others who aren't that lucky, and I think it's a huge shame that such great talent is squelched because people have to be afraid about the big bad corporation and the broken copyright laws. It's not right.
No, I know it's not right, but I don't know. At the same time, I think like it's great if we have fan animations and all that stuff, but honestly, I don't know. I want to encourage a lot of the fan animators out there, like, among them, like Flamingo Rich and the people at Silly Philly Studios and Jan himself. Like, yeah, you can create pony-related stuff, but I mean, in the end, like, people are going to look a lot more highly on you if you don't just limit yourself to that. If you at least create some other original content that's not, maybe it could be pony-related, maybe it might not be, but whatever. Like, what I'm trying to say is like I don't know. I guess in a way, yeah, you should like how I see it is that they should maybe switch their outlook on it and maybe not create so much pony stuff. I mean, yeah, we kind of lose as a fandom that way, like that we sort of, don't get as much fan created content that way, but I don't know, at the same time, we won't have to deal with deal with the hassle of like being angry when it's taken down. I mean, we had a good run. That's what I can say. Like, I know that sounds apocalyptic, and then I'm like implying that, oh, well, fan animations are going to be on the decline now, but I think that's the way it's going.
Well,
there's not much we can do about it.
Yeah, I realize that too. But if you've also noticed that we're finding ways around it, and we're finding loopholes. Like, well, like I said, with the most recent claim with Jan, like they said they own the copyright on the animation style, which again is complete bullshit because you can't.
Yeah, they even
that.
Well, and they even retracted.
Yeah, I know.
Because
I
they
know.
allowed it.
Yeah, I know they retracted it, but the point is the damage was done, and he had to pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, his stuff is his stuff is slowly coming back, but the point is the damage is done, and people know the story now. So, have you ever wondered why there's been a lot more SFMs and stuff coming out? Because again, they might own the characters, but they don't own the source filmmaker. So that's why there's a lot more fan animations and like PMVs and everything that are being done in source filmmaker.
Yeah.
And those SFMs are getting progressively better and better each time. So there's definitely good stuff coming out of that as well. So there are ways that they're getting around it. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a huge fan of the SFM style, but it's a different view. It's definitely a different way of portraying the characters. Myself personally, I wish they could stick to the Flash animations and stuff. But again, if Hasbro or their legal teams or whoever's doing it is going to be dicks and be like, nope, you can't do that because we own the animation style. It's like, well, fine, fuck you. We'll just find another way to do it. So like, there's going to be like a drop in quality, of course, because source filmmaker, you're very limited in movements and stuff. I mean, there's only so much you can do. But even still, like, a lot of the source filmmaker stuff, I mean, it's definitely come a long way from, like, the earlier ones that I saw. I mean, the earlier source filmmaker videos, they were stiff and awkward, and it was like, what the hell am I looking at? But now they're a lot smoother, and they work. I mean, I'm still not a huge fan of that style, but, hey, if they can use it to their advantage and keep, like, the fan projects coming, I'm all for it. I mean... But I'm still a traditional Flash kind of guy. What do you guys think about source filmmaker?
Yeah, it's alright. I mean, it definitely allows for more incorporation of like that the weird sort of like TF2 character sort of interactions with the ponies, which is always kind of funny. Actually pretty hilarious. But like, I don't know, it's alright. I mean, I don't look at animations in source filmmaker all that much. I more or less see more PMVs with that, but yeah, I don't know.
Some of the more funny and kind of sketchy and definitely not for children animations is some of the Klopp animations that have been done with it.
Oh god. Oh god.
Definitely funny seeing like Rainbow Dash and Applejack like lesbianing it out. It's hilarious.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. You're talking about that series of videos with SFM where they had each of the ponies like making out or whatever.
Yeah.
Like some of them with a clone of themselves, which is really weird.
Yeah, yeah. But, I mean, I'm not like, well, as it's been like pretty much confirmed like a long time ago on this show, we support that side of the fandom. But yeah, it's definitely funny, and definitely not for children, but I find them funny, and I find it even more funny when I can send the link to somebody and they don't know what they're getting into, and their reactions are priceless, because it's like, oh, I found this amazing new pony video, you gotta check it out. They click it, and then it's like Twilight screwing Trixie, and they're like, what the fuck did you just send me? I'm like, the best thing in the world, man, the best thing in the world.
Oh boy.
But seriously though, the cease and desist orders, like whoever's in charge of the legal team, or if it's Hasbro themselves, somebody's got to give somewhere, because they're going way too overkill with their C&Ds, and Twidash is best shipping. I can agree with that.
Oh god.
I can agree with that. I can definitely agree with that.
So do I. I agree as well. It's like, I'm not a big fan of shipping, but Twidash, like they're cute together. Like, I'm not a huge fan of shipping, but that's one of the few that I will support. The other one, which is unofficial, would be Sweetie Belle and Button Mash. And I actually do like the idea of Discord and Celestia, especially with that one bit at the end of season 4. Like, I think that could work, but...
Well, you know what? I don't take ships. I take planes. So...
Yeah, the only ship that you approve of is Euro C with Luna, Mon. Everybody knows
No! No!
Hey,
Nice.
your closet says otherwise, boy, so...
Ugh.
that.
Those are unconfirmed.
Unconfirmed.
That was confirmed like 6 or 7 shows ago. That's old news.
Yeah, it's old news.
No.
We all know what goes on in that closet of debauchery.
No. You
Those-
don't know.
Right.
Nothing goes on in there.
Even if I was to look back at last week's vidcast, I'm pretty sure I saw you looking at Luna pretty weird, so...
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, after all that abuse you did to that plush, choking her and dropping her down twice and like all that stuff, really. Shame on you.
Right. What the hell is that?
That comment is brilliant.
Yes, that's definitely...
I'm not looking at the chat.
Well,
What
Mon, since you can't see it, I'll read it. Like our I guess you could say he's our #1 fan because he's always on or whatever. But like,
Praetorian
yes,
Overlord.
Praetorian
Okay, here we go.
Overlord. He's like, we do know. We hooked up a camera in your closet, Mon. You see that?
Oh,
Yeah.
The evidence is incontrovertible, and I use the fancy word because I like to use fancy words when I can.
Yes.
But yes.
See,
Praetorian, you lost cookie points with me.
either way, I'm telling you, even when our #1 fan knows that you have a very sketchy closet, then it must be true.
Fine. Fine. God.
But this is like way off topic and has nothing to do with fan animations.
Anyway.
Although there's
How about them how about all the animatics that have come out over the years that, like, some of them that have never gotten done?
Oh yeah, I mean animatics.
E.g. Lyra's Anthropology.
Oh my gosh, that's a shame that never got finished. I was
I know.
really looking forward to it.
I think we
No.
all were. One that I can
I'm like-
say,
Oh, no, go ahead.
well, one that I can say that took forever to come out, but was the
Children of the Night.
yeah, Children of the Night. That one took forever to come out, and it was an animatic for so long. But then when it finally came out, everyone was just like, "Damn!" And
That's still to this day one of the most gorgeous animations we've ever had in this fandom. It's breathtaking. It really is.
yeah, and it's not even show accurate. They have their own unique flair. So,
Which I love. I love
yeah.
the style.
I mean, if I have to read there, I mean, I'd love for them to make a full episode or something. Like, I could definitely get into it because their animation style is definitely one of the more unique ones and one of the best looking ones I've seen. That's not directly from like the show itself, like source level. So.
Yeah, no, definitely. And if you notice, they had their own story element going on there because they had that whole like clan of like hidden ponies of hidden followers that Luna had to that after all those years, even after Celestia forbid her having her own colony, they're still there like in the shadows. So they could really make like a Luna fan episode out of that since we know we'll never get an official one in the show.
Yeah. Well, I think it was him. I think it was him and Jan himself that did work on the animation for the BronyCon documentary.
Actually, I think that team that did the Children of the Night thing they're called Duo Cartoonist, and I think it's a couple. Like, I think it's a man and a woman who both did that.
Yeah. But, like, I think it was the man and I think it was Jan, like I said, that both did the animation for the BronyCon documentary. I'm pretty sure both of them had, which is why the animation in that was like so spot on and like actually, I find myself watching that alone on YouTube. I find it like watching that more than the whole documentary. I mean, the animation in it's somewhat better than the documentary itself, although the documentary itself was pretty good.
Yeah.
Although there are sketchy parts about that documentary.
I like it overall. Like, I honestly don't get some of the complaints about it, how like, it's pandering too much. I think it was needed to have. I think we needed to have a positive spin on the fandom because of all the negativity, especially back then, that we were constantly getting in the media. So I can forgive them for that. Then again, you have the new one coming up, a Brony Tale with Ashley Ball. I've heard that one is more well-rounded in the view of the fandom. But we have a question here, like Nesfex is asking, what are our thoughts on the upcoming Fall of Empire from Silly Philly Studios?
As far as I know, I don't know. I've seen I've seen at least one of the previews for it, and I think it'll be good. I know that it isn't even close to the canon because we know that, like, as far as we know, Sombra wasn't the one to corrupt Luna. I don't think so. As far as we know, who knows? That could become canon eventually. But anyway, I think it's gonna be good because I mean, like, you definitely have good voice actors and actresses. You have MJ, and I think that's the only one I know. I don't know who does Sombra. I'm pretty sure if Luna has a big good amount of speaking in that, it's probably gonna be Hannah Mae, if I could guess, because they usually go with her for Luna. And I mean, from what I've seen, it's interesting because you get to see Celestia like just battling Sombra, and it's like, oh my god,
yes,
awesome. But yeah, I don't know. In terms of story, I haven't seen enough of it yet to really make a good judgment of it.
I haven't really been following it, so I don't know what to make of it. I'll just see it when it's available, and then I'll judge.
I saw the trailer like over a year ago, and I was wondering, when is this thing going to come out? And I kept checking on a regular basis, and it's still not out. Finally, we get this announcement recently. It's going to come out at the end of this month. I'm definitely looking forward to it. As I said in the chat, I'm stoked. And, they're actually portraying Sombra as he should have been in the show. A legitimate, threatening, badass villain, and not an evil fart cloud. I mean, but look, this is the Sombra that we all wanted to see in the Crystal Empire, and we didn't get. This is the T-Rex. Let me just use this term. This is a T-Rexification of Sombra in this fan-made project here. This is what he should have been, and I like what they're doing with his character in that thing. And it looks very promising. Voice acting looks solid. Animation looks great. The only thing I was disappointed about is they announced that the length of it's only going to be 8 to 9 minutes. In the original trailer, insinuated it would be a longer epic than that. That's kind of disappointing to me because we've waited so long just for 8 to 9 minutes of a story. To be fair, animation takes a long time to do. It's a lot of work. They have to work with their own busy lives and schedules. I get that. I don't want to take that away from them. But the way that we're hyping it up, it seemed that on my first impression, it was going to be maybe a 20 or like at least an episode length feature, and that's not what it is. Other than that, I'm enjoying it.
It's like, no, they have to slave for us. They have to slave their lives away to give us content.
Yeah, but I mean, hey, I'm not going to complain much. It's a minor gripe. I'm still very much intrigued by it, and I'm definitely going to watch it when it comes out. But yeah, I mean, I just wish that we get more fan animations more often, and we continue to find loopholes to get around any of the legal team from Hasbro's nonsense. But yeah, I mean, definitely, like, it's good to see, and it's encouraging to see that projects like this are still being made this late into our fandom. So that means that there's still a spark there. There's still life. The creativity hasn't died. It's just taking longer to do because of multiple reasons, but it's still very much there. So there's still stuff to look forward to.
What would you guys think about Equestria Girls fan animations?
It'd be interesting to see at the very least.
It would be a nice change of pace. I mean, like I said before, I'm not a huge crazy fan of Equestria Girls. I'm always going to prefer like MLP, the show itself. But as a spin-off, I'm okay with Equestria Girls, and if there's fan animation of it, then great. It adds more diversity to the fandom, and I'm all okay with that. But to me, it's always going to be more interesting to look at it from the perspective of the ponies rather than their human counterparts, because like as good as Equestria Girls is, Ponies is still better in my opinion, and it's always going to be just another, to me, like just a better version of a show like Winx Club or Monster High. Like I'm always going to see it as a parallel to that, and that's kind of what hurts it for me. What prevents me from enjoying Equestria Girls like 100% is because of that fact. The fact that even more obvious than MLP, Equestria Girls is a clear cash in on a toy line, even more so than the MLP itself, because they did it directly to compete with Monster High and Mattel. We know this. Even still, it's still a good thing overall. I enjoyed Equestria Girls 1, like we've talked about before. I'm sort of looking to Equestria Girls 2, but it's not like the greatest thing since sliced bread for me. Let me put it that way.
Well,
to steal my phrase, you bastard.
It should be, though. It should be. And you guys are both bastards, but that's besides. As for me, though, I mean, I could definitely get behind any kind of Equestria Girls animation as long as it was, well, done fairly decent. I mean, it would definitely be interesting to see a fan-made Equestria Girls Saga, and not that really cheap one where it's like the cardboard cutouts, because I've seen all those, as hilarious as they are. I want an actual proper animation, and well, actually there's something else I'd like to see from that, but I can't talk about that here.
Oh, sketch.
You know what?
Sketch.
No, not at all. I'm the
right.
I'm the innocent one here. I'm Luna Shy, so I don't do those
you're the king of debauchery and corruptness and everything sketchy. If you're innocent, then I don't know what devious is. I really don't. So just drop the act, man. We know.
No, I'm the Dark Lord. That's about it. I'm Dark
Oh,
Lord.
God, here we
I'm
go.
Dark Lord Luna Shy 89. That's it. I am nothing more.
You certainly got the dark part down with all your sketchy.
Praetorian says he's not innocent. He's the one with the van.
You're exactly right. See, Praetorian's onto something. He's got good insight. First on Mon and now on you, Flutters. Like he's right on both of you. He's right. He's on to both of you. He knows what's going on behind the scenes. Flutter. You know the funny thing is, Flutters actually does have a van and he does stalk people. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, if that's the case, then Praetorian must know about
weekends.
the secret of your plush.
Yeah, he knows. Everyone knows about the secret of Ed's plush. It's not even a secret anymore. It's just
There really isn't any secret. You saw everything there is to see in the video cast last week. I have 2 Twilight plushies, 1 Unicorn Twilight, 1 Alicorn Twilight, and the other plush I have is one of the BronyCon mascots, Hoofbeats. That's all there is. There's nothing else there. Now, if you want a true story about plushes, you should read my story that I did about our host Fluttershy 1992.
Oh, no!
Now, that's the story that tells the truth about what that guy does.
Oh, we do not need to talk about that.
no. Nobody here wants to read your damn Clopfic, and it's
So
not,
that was about you, and it was not a Clopfic. It's based on a true story.
Oh yeah, totally, and it's totally a Clopfic.
Oh God, no! No, you
Nespec
don't.
does.
No, you
They
don't.
both
No.
do. I love it.
It's totally a Clopfic because the contest that you entered it into was called Battle of the Clopfics 1. It was me versus you who could write the better Clopfic.
Yeah, and I won that.
You won that simply because of sketchy.
You had Rarity. Yeah, you had Rarity stick a needle up Flutters' OC.
And for some reason, I gave my OC.
I don't know what is.
And for some reason, for comedic effect, but I kind of regret it looking back because it kind of backfired. I gave my OC erectile dysfunction.
Yeah, what does it say about you, buddy?
It's talking about my OC. There's a difference between an OC and whatever. But the point is, it was supposed to be me making innocent fun of myself to show that I'm not just picking on Flutters. I can make fun of myself and laugh about it, about the character. Okay?
Very carefully.
We had an impartial judge, and he read both stories aloud, and we did a stream last year around this time that was called Battle of the Clopfics, and surprisingly enough, we had a lot of viewers for that. I don't know why, and evidently he won, and I'll get you next year. I'll get you next year, or maybe this year if we do Battle of the Clopfics too.
I already have a sequel planned, and it involves Captain Kindness taking over as the villain, and you have to. I don't know how Clop is involved with that, but I'll find something out to do with it.
Well, one thing's for sure, Mon's not allowed to enter the contest because he's an actual writer, so he's banned.
Damn it!
I bet I could still beat him in that if I really tried.
Son of a bitches!
Besides, he would just make it about himself, and it would just confirm even more about his closet thing. So
No!
No. Well, seeing as how we're no longer really talking about fan animation anymore, since we're way off topic, we might as well just continue to go on with whatever rambling we want to go on about. And for our listeners, if you have any questions for us or whatever, feel free to ask them, because this is the time that you can ask us questions and we'll answer. It doesn't matter whatever question. It could be like, what kind of bread do you have? And I'll be like, oh, it's Wonder.
It's like Reddit AMA. AUA. Ask us anything.
Yeah.
Nothing is off bars. If you want to ask how short Mond is, you can ask that too.
Mond is about 2.5 inches tall. Oh God!
Why do I put up with you people?
Hey, you're the one that's gonna be coming to my place. Rainbow Dash.
What about them?
Okay, we got a serious question about the rainbow power designs. I think we did touch about this last time, but he might not have been here. What do you guys think about the rainbow power designs?
I only liked 2 of them.
I don't like the rainbow power designs at all. I mean, I distressed how much I hated them last week when I said it's nothing more than they want to sell their overstock, so they redesigned it slightly. And does anyone have bacon? Well, I do have bacon, but not right now. I mean,
I don't have bacon on me, but Canadian bacon. Yes, I want some, please.
I would, but I'm really full from eating a 3-course meal at Fridays, so I don't want any food right now. But otherwise, I would eat it. But getting back to the rainbow power designs, like I said last week, I actually am one of the few that actually likes them. Like, I'm not they're the best thing ever since Canadian bacon, but I like them. Like, I don't understand why people think they look ugly or gaudy. I don't think they look horrible. And the whole point about the toy line. The whole point about they're just doing it to sell their new toy line, the Rainbow Power toy line. Duh! It's not like this whole show is a glorified toy commercial. It's a very good one. But that's essentially what it is. There to sell their toys.
Yeah, I know
What's
that.
the point?
I know that, but what I'm saying is it's still an overstock. They made too many toys, so they recalled them and changed them slightly.
What the?
What the heck, Preacher?
Preacher.
If we ate Mond, would that count as eating bacon? I don't even know how to answer that.
How does it? How would? I'm not a pig.
Sure you are.
I don't know. I did hear Luna say that if Mon misbehaves too much, she might gobble him up in literally this time. She didn't do it to Pipsqueak, but she might do it to Mon. I don't know.
Yeah, this is.
Never mind. I'm not even gonna say it.
Oh, depends on what. Depends on what, you sketchy bastard.
Nothing.
Lies. We heard it. You must tell us your secrets.
Fine. It depends on what part she gobbles.
Oh God!
What
the heck?
You're sick, man.
We thought you sunk to a low in the 7th show when we did that roast of you. But man, that's even worse than the comment you made in that show. Oh my God!
Don't care. It's sexy.
Oh
my God! Oh God!
You're killing the guys you're making them laugh to death, or at least you're accomplishing that much. Oh my God!
We should definitely get one of those guys on the show with us next week. They're always here. They should be a guest. I mean, we are. Seeing as how I mentioned that, I might as well take the time to remind everyone on YouTube. Yes, the Flutter Brigade is still looking for guests. It doesn't matter what you do or whatever. Just go to our website, flutterbrigade.com, fill out the simple form, and there's a quick screening process, but don't let that discourage you. Fill out the form, and if you meet whatever, you'll be on with us, and you too can have your own exciting and fun moments with the Flutter Brigade, as sketchy as we are.
Yes.
Especially Mond.
Yes, especially him. I'm here to balance things out, like kind of a yin yang thing. Those two guys are the sketchy ones. I'm the guy with the halo and the innocent guy here. Yeah,
bullshit. You're the guy that's...
It's totally legit. It's totally legit because I say so. So
okay, if that's totally legit, then the Klopfic I wrote about you and your plush is totally legit too. Although we already know.
No, because you wrote that.
No, I only speak the truth. But then again, I didn't actually write that. That was Fluttershy. I'm Lunashy. There's a difference.
It's the same guy.
Oh,
here we go with your multiple personality disorder.
Oh, he's just... This is probably some publicity ploy, this is some publicity ploy where he's like, oh, watch my movie that is going to come out in, who knows how many years.
Fluttershy...
Oh, okay, we got 2 things here.
Yeah.
Wait, the Klopfic is about his plushies?
Yes.
Yep. Well, they both are. You see, I wrote a Klopfic about our dear host Fluttershy 1989 here, and it was about him and teaching him a lesson in a way about not to use his plushies for Clop or whatever. And long story short, he goes to Equestria, his OC, a lot of shenanigans happen. He almost dies at the end, and then he vows never to Clop again. But then he moves on to furry stuff with the Chipettes, so that's another story. Now he wrote a thing to get back at me. And Flutters wrote a Klopfic about me, the one and only Ed of Jayville, who is still very innocent, by the way. And he wrote a Klopfic about me, claiming that something that I was doing like with my Twilight Plus, which is complete and utter lies because I don't do that kind of stuff. Now I admit, and we have all admitted, we have all seen R34 stuff, but that's a completely different story, and we are all guilty of that here. And I'd even go so far as to say the majority of the fandom is to some degree, whether they admit it or not. So in that sense, it's really not a big deal. But the whole Plus thing, in all seriousness, it was a fun contest we had a year ago. We both had fun. Even though I won, there was no real stakes involved. It was kind of like bragging rights. And it was just something funny that we did and to exercise our creativity. Nothing more to it than that.
Yeah, I have to agree with Praetorian Overlord here, though. You mean the guy who seems innocent but is really furthering his own gains?
Furthering my own gains? What gains could I possibly have? I have no gains. Nothing at all. I'm just here to talk about ponies and stuff.
Your sketchiness. You want to further your sketchiness, I think.
Yeah.
No, unless you count spreading the magnificence of Twilight Sparkle and declaring
she's second best.
Hold
on.
Hold on.
The Republic of
Wait.
Heresy.
Back this up a second. He just full-on admitted on this show he wants to spread Twilight. That's just... that's
what I
said. You just said you wanted to spread Twilight. I don't even want to know where you're going with that.
No. You deliberately know what I said, and you took it out of context. I said spread the awesomeness, the awareness of the awesomeness of Twilight all over the world, all over the country, and declare...
Awesomeness is key. Awesomeness is a trigger word for something else.
No, we're not going back to the whole thing from last week again. You know about it. No, I don't know.
In any case,
that's not a confession.
In any case, I'll take this time now, since we've already said and admitted that we wrote Clapfix. I'll take this time now to say that the Clapfix that we wrote will be hosted and ready for download on the Flutter Brigade website sometime later tonight. So if you choose to download them and read them, feel free. I gotta warn you now, they're horrible and they're graphic too.
I was blinded by them. I was just I can't see anymore because I read them.
Oh, if this is actually going to be done, and I hope it is, because I think a lot of these guys will get a kick out of reading the Clapfix that we wrote. But I will say, in mine, expect randomness, expect Pinkamena making an appearance, and expect Rarity having some strange fetish with needles and poking up people's butts. I don't know why. And apparently Luna is a very aggressive, dominant personality in certain areas that, well, you're just going to have to read to find that out. So, yeah.
But, what was the word count on either of them?
Oh, God, it's not that much. It's probably, like, less than 3,000.
Maybe?
Yeah, it's yeah. Like, they can both, if you're a speed reader, you can get through them both in 30 minutes. I mean, they're not that long. I mean... We weren't going for length, and we weren't going for overall quality. It was done as a stupid joke, and actually it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun doing it. I mean, we really should post another one.
It's like no, I demand you to write a Clapfic that is full out equestria length.
Yeah,
you must do it.
No.
Ugh, no, that would be sketchy though.
Well, the whole reason the whole contest got started in the first place is me being a smartass. I was using Google Translate and I started typing out like this random stuff about Ed and Lolliot and whoever else was in the chat. I just started typing out this Clapfic, and then I had Translate read it back, and then it evolved into a competition because Ed started doing it to retaliate, and I was like, you know what? I challenge you to write a Clapfic about me, and I'll write one about you, and then we'll get one of our friends from a group that we're no longer in to judge, because I know that he's into that weird and stupid stuff. So it just worked out in the end. But I still say I won, but that's me. Oh, and the rules to the contest were, if you're the loser, you have to publicly admit in the chat room that we were in at the time that you are a clopper, and you have to show at least one picture from your clop folder on screen for the world to see. Unfortunately, because I lost, I had to download some stuff just so I'd have something to show.
Yeah. Okay.
He has a clop folder. We have all seen it. In all fairness, like we don't like we're not too harsh on poor Flutters here because he did suffer for. But no, in all fairness, I did have a very saucy picture of Twilight ready in case I had lost. So I mean, it's not like I'm whatever in it, but like I was prepared.
I bet you were. I was prepared too. Well, I'm not admitting that I have a clop folder, but I have a clop folder.
Okay.
Don't tell anybody. Oh wait, did I say that out loud? Shit.
You did.
Flutters needs a clop intervention. We need to get the intervention team to like. He needs help.
You need it more than I do, but hey, as a proud Rule 34 collector, it was bound to happen. So I don't care what people think. I'm not doing it around children, and I always say keep it to yourself and whatever. But that's not exactly what we're doing on this show right now. So we're against it.
Would you say you're a clopasseur?
Wow, really, Mom? You're just going and inventing words now.
So, are you trying to say that I've dabbled in clop? That I've actually partaken in clop? No.
I believe you have.
No, I've never actually partaken in clop. I have them for amusement purposes and shock value purposes. That's it.
No, okay, now you're telling white lies again. You're not being completely truthful. We know.
That's not exactly something I'm gonna go around and say on the internet.
Well, I understand that. I mean, we can all read between the lines, but whatever.
I mean, it's pretty obvious that, like, whatever, and if anyone can't see the actual truth, like, there, then, well, shame on them.
Okay, this was supposed to be the Flutter Brigade Roundtable Episode 11 fan animations, and it turned into Episode 11 Clop Confessions.
You know what I want to see a fan animation of?
Oh, God, what?
Luna shaking her plot.
There already is! It's the whole thing with, like, the panties thing, like, the pantsuit thing. There's one of that.
Yeah, but yeah. Actually,
oh my gosh.
Actually, I wonder, like, while we're still on the topic of fan animations, what would you guys do if there was a Rule 34 fan animation?
Oh. Ooh. I don't know.
I would have to investigate for scientific purposes.
I would have to investigate.
For science, of course.
Yes, always with science. Always with science. It's the best excuse. But in all seriousness, I think it's time that we wrap up this show, because we're
having so much fun.
Oh.
I know we're having fun and all, but in all seriousness, I do got something else that I gotta get done. So
I bet you do.
No,
okay, but
it's not what you're it's you bastards, both of you.
So Mon has a closet and Flutters has an attic for this kind of thing. So there we go, it's confirmed.
An attic, that's just all under my bed.
Okay, I'm sorry, excuse me. It's a trap door under your bed where you have like a little chamber there where God knows what down there.
You don't want to know. You don't want to know. We'll save it for another. We'll save it for another time. But until then, thanks to everyone who joined us on Alicorn Radio, and to our YouTube viewers. Keep in mind, we're live on Alicorn Radio every Sunday night at 11, unless something absolutely drastic comes up and we have to cancel a show. But other than that, we're live on Alicorn Radio every Sunday at 11, so feel free to come and join the live chat, talk with us, have fun with us. Like, we will address your questions, your whatever, and all that good stuff. So until then, we will see you next week, and thank you, and good night. Oh, wait, Mon, you have one last question before we go. One last question.
No, I have never whipped Luna.
No, but he did choke his plush and dropped her a couple times last night. So he might actually have been to that bondage thing, so don't take his word for
it. Okay. God damn, son. God damn.
Anyways, good night, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
Good night.
Good night.